Hello, guys. Today we're going to be talking about Alkyde. I know that she had her knee very recently, and a lot of people are kind of interested about it, and I was asked to do a review on her. The very first thing I'm going to say is I kind of really like her EE art, and she does have some interesting value. So I'm going to talk about her in two different ways. As you can see up above, she can either be used as a center mid or a player in front line. Depending on where you're going to use her, it's highly going to affect what build you run. So I just want you to keep that in mind. So first of all, let's look at her skills before going at that. She's a passer, recover target's action bar by 100%, increase pass effect 40%, and target critical damage 40%. Very nice active, nothing bad with it. As long as you can crit, it's really good. Especially if you got like a Victoria in midline, that could be a really nice buff to her and allow her to do huge damage and penetrate for rainbow teams. And even for non-rainbow teams, passing it to G, Dale, Malcolm, for the mono dark could also be really good. Then focused magic 2, increase steal by 40% and pass effect by 30%. Kind of a nice all round. It just means she's not supposed to penetrate, but since she has a passer AI, she's not going to have that stat. You're just going to really want to work on DR in case she's holding. Recover additional spirit by 30% of a pass. That's the one skill you're going to max out last, just for a simple reason, because it's that one skill who doesn't have such a great value. Of course, if you're running a one-hit KO striker setup with Elaine, William, or something like that, then you can go for it before another thing, but that's only in front line and in specific situation. Then Prisoner of Joy, decrease the reflex by 35% and the attack power by 40% of any within the position. And I'm going to say right there, that's the bacon. That's what we're looking for, and that's a really nice skill. So I would say right now that's good for two reasons. One, because that allows her to be good in midline, but it also allows her to be good in utility front lines. It's if you have an Elaine again, it's going to be a great buff. If you have a Milky Way, if you have a Ravian, if you have an Alice somewhere in the team, again, there's a lot of ways to use it. It's really on a utility level, but it's really cool. And decrease the damage they do with the attack power is in a way it's kind of like a form of DR, except it touches someone else's stat. So again, some great value right there. So let's talk about her in midline. So she's going to be used in center. So what you're going to want to do, of course, if you're using someone center, you're going to be giving her right away a battalion. So that's kind of obvious. It's the dark unit that gives DR. Let's see if this works correctly. No, it's not working. Well, it's a dark unit that gives DR. For this slot, the other one you're gonna put dark lifestone, and you're gonna put a light reflex. Then in the other stone, you can also put a light reflex or an order reflex. The idea is she has decent reflex and some pretty damn high DR for someone that doesn't have some in her kit by base. Now again, there's some alternate builds you can try a run, but this is what's going to allow her to have the best value as center mid. So that's really, there's kind of just one good build for center mid. Of course, if you have better ways of giving her DR, you could instead decide to do Dark Lifestone, a light Thousand Watcher, and a Dark Reflex, and another light or ardor reflex. That's much more reflex. Just her survival is going to be so low. I wouldn't advise it. Now let's go look in the front line. So she's supposed to be on one of the sides. I know most strikers are on one of the sides too. Just put her on the side he's not. That's not really an issue right there. Again, endgame, you're going to realize that the little buff they gave just isn't even that strong anymore. So it's not a big deal. No, there's two ways to build her. One's going to be on a reflex level, and the other one's actually going to be as an actual passer. So if you're building her as a passer, and I'm insisting as a passer, and you still want to play a little bit with that reflex, of course you can change the color of the slots, but in the meantime, what you can do is put Bond of Silence in the light slot. It's one of the new pass stones that even gives her back action bar, which is kind of cool. You put a dark pass, and you can put a dark reflex or a dark life stone depending on what your line's doing. And in the other slot, usually put an Ardor or a Light pass, depending if you want speed or if you're trying to get more spirit. Again, it's really going to depend on what kind of line you're running. So that's going to be more if you're going for a passer build. But that's not the reason why people would usually get her, because yeah, she's okay as a passer, but there are some better passers out there. Now, where she's actually going to excel at is if you try to make a reflex front line, a line who tries to steal back the ball. And of course, Ravian's going to come to mind, and I completely agree. That's great synergy right there. So what I would do for that is I would put a Thousand Watcher, giving more reflex to the line. Then I would put a Dark Reflex Stone. I would put a Dark Life Stone. And then in the center slot, I would put a Light Reflex Stone. Like this, we still have a bit of Spirit Gen. There's no point in trying to give crit rest because you're just not going to be stacking enough anyway. So let's try get Spirit. Like this, she's going to be giving a 35% debuff. She's going to be giving the Thousand Watcher buff. And on top of it, she's going to be decently fast. And if they try attack her, they're going to take some serious damage. So that's what I'm going to say, in my opinion, is the best value if you're putting her in front line. Again, I want to point out that that's not the build you put her in midline. That's going to be basically a copy-paste of Metatron. So I hope that solves the build. Again, if you have a different build, a different idea, these are my main ideas, but I'm not saying they're the best or the only ones. I've seen people do some original stuff, and it's worked very well. Now, on the chain level, I'm going to say half of them are bad and some are okay, and this one's great. So basically, these are 4 stars. That's just kind of bad. Then we got Fontis, not really good. I have seen some interesting Nia Roses and Mono Dark teams, so this could actually have value. But again, Friendship is not something that's going to be a valuable chain for her compared to Rival and Nemesis, so it's not a big deal if you don't have it. Now, the important ones, we have Samir and Hilgard in Rival, who are very popular in PvP. So that right there, that's actually pretty good. And in the Nemesis, she has Scylla, who's also very popular in PvP. So there's actually some pretty decent value stuck right there. If only those chains were reversed, that could have been even more powerful, but hell, it's still pretty damn good. So that's basically the idea of how she's supposed to be used. Weather Immunity Rainy, Attribute Dark, Assist. I think this basically explains it. She is a special boss, so you can farm her right now. And if you're farming her, don't actually stop when you have her M-Sub. You want to actually aim directly for 30 Transcendence. I know you might not even reach it, but every single time you get an extra copy, it's going to higher her stats a little bit more. And you can't really do that with most players. So you're going to be able to get a little advantage that people are usually not able to get. Because on most players, you're never going to really, like even if you look on the wiki right here, it doesn't mention Transcendence. So it kind of counters the fact that special bosses don't have as high values as regular 5-star players or even certain legendaries. You can try a rival with that a little bit more. If you try and max out that Transcendence, it's very close to one bonus superb right there. So I hope you guys understand the logic. Again, any question, comment, leave a comment in the description. I'll try to get back to you. Have a good day, guys.